Hey guys, we're back. Yes, you guys actually been killing the first three parts, and I cannot understand it. This series must be really goated with the amount of details I put into it. But hey, y'all already know I got y'all. All right, y'all gonna love these next three parts and what I got planned. Okay, so with that being said, here let's talk about it. What if Jazz was in Transformers Prime Part 4? All right. Last time we left off here, the events of the Darkness Rising simply happened, or the Unicron quadrilogy. So, Jazz has to take up the reins here. However, one little shift in the timeline here. Well, Jazz is in command here. This is where I would have the episode Loose Cannons actually play out. Wait a minute, Legendary. I thought you said Wheeljack stayed in this timeline. Yes, he did here. But that's not to say there isn't, I don't know, room for one more Cybertronian. And so, this is where we actually see Agent Fowler pop on the monitor screaming Prime. And so, when he looks around, he actually Autobots where's Prime. And to which Jazz pretty much speaks up here, telling him that right now, Prime has been captured or somewhat brainwashed by Megatron. And to which Agent Fowler says, What? Okay, well, who's in charge right now? To which Jazz says, He is right now. He's got the most leadership experience. He's been a lieutenant in his own dimension. So he thinks he should be able to lead them here. Plus, they're already willing to follow him anyway because of how he's, forged their relationships here. And so this is where Agent Fowler kind of just rolls her eyes and says, okay, well, never mind. But right now we need to get a handle on this situation here. To which he kind of looks at him like, what situation? To which this is where Cliffjumper chimes in saying, what, we got Decepticons fighting each other? And to which Agent Fowler says, well, no, it seems like this may be one of your guys here. And so what they actually see here is actually something rather impressive here. And this is where Jazz simply states, who's that? And this is where all the Autobots look in shock and in a little bit of hope here. And they say, that's Jetfire, the aerial bot commander here, one of Optimus Prime's lieutenants here. And so the Autobots immediately rush out here to help Jetfire, who's fighting Dreadwing. Understanding that another Decepticon here on, Skyquake's level is definitely a problem here. Jazz makes sure to get him right then and there here, actually calling for a maneuver that the Autobots and him have practiced over and over again. And this would actually called the Swift. So here's how it will go, right? As the Autobots are shooting at Dreadwing here, Jazz simply tells RC and Cliffjumper to perform it here, considering the fact that Cliffjumper will be a good distraction, while RC is able to not only get behind Dreadwing, but actually utilizing her wrist blade, she actually slashes at the back legs of him here. And so when Dreadwing draws his sword and swings back at her, she's able to get out of the way in time. And this is where Wheeljack and Bumblebee both lay into him, while Bulkhead is able to come in from the side with his sledgehammer. And this is where Jazz and Wheeljack both kind of top it off with a double stab through his spark, killing Dreadwing. Now you might say, wait. Why would you have Dreadwing die so early here? And this kind of shows one thing. The Autobots under Jazz are not taking any chances for Megatron to get a new recruiter. However, this also affects one thing here. Skyquake. He feels this, and he can feel his brother's spark being extinguished here. And so when he actually does this, he actually feels the pain of it and doubles over in pain, to which all the Decepticons are looking like, what the heck? What happened? Skyquake was wrong. And this is where he says, my brother, oh. To which Megatron says, Dreadwing, where is he? Here? To which this is where they actually see Dreadwing over the monitor by tracking his signal here. And well, yeah, it's not a pretty sight here. He's been pretty much just killed. You could even say butchered in a way here. However, where Skyquake sees a chance at vengeance, and again, this kind of fuels the rivalry between him and Jazz a bit more here. This also is a good opportunity, is what I'm trying to say here, for Megatron to manipulate Orion. To which this is where they actually begin to gaslight Optimus into seeing how brutal and how deadly the Autobots are. How Dreadwing was just defending himself here, and so the Autobots simply just killed him ruthlessly, all jumping and attacking him without honor here. To which this is where Optimus does kind of see from Megatron's point of view here, but he can't help but feel something's wrong, like he always has. And so, with that being said here, this is where Jetfire and Jazz actually meet each other for the first time. To which this is where Jazz says, back in his dimension, he only had air raid. To which Jetfire says, oh, well, we had him here too. We actually split ways a long time ago here, and well, he went with one Cybertronian civilization, and I went Decepticon hunting. So, followed Dreadwing here, and unfortunately, Bulkhead, Wheeljack, I got some bad news for you. He got sea spray before I could. To which Wheeljack and Bulkhead do mourn the loss of their comrade here. However, they do feel some sense in justice and a little bit of vengeance. Let's be real here. Crash outs all the way. That Skyquake, or Dreadwing, excuse me, has paid for his death. And so, with that being said here, this is where they actually not only give Jetfire a vehicle form, to which I would say it's kind of similar to Skyquake and Dreadwing, but it's slimmer. You know, it's something that fits him, like his fallen Cybertron jet mode, but more modernized, you know? And I think, maybe a stealth bomber could work, but let me know in the comment section down below on what kind of Jetfire would be. No pun intended here. So with Jetfire part of the team here, Jetfire does not even assume command here. To which Jazz even notices this and even asks him, stating that, do you want to take over in the operation to get Optimus back? He doesn't mind relieving, command to an actual lieutenant here. To which Jetfire says, nah, you seem like you got it under control, man. I'm here to back you guys up whenever you need it. To which this is where Jazz actually states that, okay, so now, since we know how to get Optimus's memories back, the question is, though, how would they get into Cybertron without a necessary space bridge? To which this is where Ratchet says they could always use one of the Decepticons here. And this is when they simply assume that, how are they going to get to one? And this is where Jetfire says he can actually scout for it. But this is where Jazz says that could take a lot of time. What if, though, they actually interrogate a Decepticon here? So we capture one, RC says. To which he says, yeah, that shouldn't be too hard. To which this is where he actually walks off, and in a moment later, right, he comes back with the Polarity Gauntlet, saying that he never really wanted to try and use this because, again, he has his own magnetic abilities here. However, this thing definitely seems to be stronger, and maybe he might modify it to his own body or something like that in the future. But right now, let's go ahead and get back Optimus. And you two, to which he says, Jack and Sierra, don't do anything we wouldn't do while we're gone. And so this is where Agent Fowler simply contacts them just at that moment when they're about to go Decepticon hunting, to the sheer fact that their military base is being attacked. Now, this is where we do get another change in this timeline here. The Autobots arrive and they immediately go in guns blazing here, with Jetfire actually cutting off Knockout and Breakdown from the ground bridge here. And so this is where Jazz utilizes the Polarity Gauntlet to pull them both towards him and then slams them onto the ground here, with the Autobots surrounding them and getting ready to blast, while Jetfire flies overhead, making sure that no other Decepticon pretty much comes through here. And so this is where the interrogation pretty much happens here. Now again, who's going to run that interrogation? I'm going to say Wheeljack here. Considering Wheeljack says, it'd be a pain if we messed up that paint job. And this actually, again, would get to knockout here, as Wheeljack's sword simply inches closer and closer and closer. And we kind of would see Bumblebee trying not to laugh at this here, to which he just kind of like has to keep his composure as he like fidgets a little bit, because he does find Knockout squirming a bit hilarious here. However, this is where another space bridge or ground bridge opens here, and this is where Skyquake, Arachnid, and Starscream all fly out here, making sure, or trying to, well, I guess you could say, get one of the Decepticons, or, you know, rescue Knockout and Breakdown, which are members of the team that was chosen by the comics themselves and who got the most likes. War Prime Studios, congratulations. This team is called the Shadow Syndicate here. So, congratulations. This is going to be the official team throughout the entire series, and your name will definitely be given credit every single video. All right? So, if y'all see him, give him a like, give him a thumbs up, and please congratulate him on being the one to actually suggest one of the coolest names I could never even come up with myself. So, with that being said, the Shadow Syndicate against the Autobots here. And again, obviously not the full team, because Ratchet's back at home here. And so, what happens here? Well, Jetfire and Starscream actually duke it out in the air. And so, this is where Jetfire says, considering Starscream's one of the biggest whiners and one of the biggest loudmouths here, he'd be perfect for a better interrogation here. To which this is where Jazz actually uses the Polarity Gauntlet to sling Knockout and Breakdown into Arachnid here. So, this is where we would actually see Bumblebee, Bulkhead, and RC square off against their rivals. To which this is where he actually sends Cliffjumper Wheeljack with Jetfire to get Starscream to squeal. And so, I'm going to feel bad for what I'm about to do to Starscream here. And then we have one more thing. Skyquake versus Jazz here. And so, the two pretty much, you know, size each other up once again here. And to which Jazz is pretty confident as he takes out his bladed staff here, and Skyquake draws his sword. And he can see the anger in Skyquake's eyes. To which he tells him, what happened to all that coolness and stoic demeanor you had earlier? To which Skyquake said, that all went out the window when you killed my brother. To which Jazz says, well, could have let Megatron get another one of you. I mean, besides, I prefer my opponents a little more green. And so Skyquake in anger swings at Jazz, and Jazz simply parries it and spin kicks him here. The back and forth between the two is what I would actually call playing with the enemy. And so Jazz actually does it. He actually dodges every sword swipe, even pretty much putting his blade away and straight up boxing with Skyquake's at his point here. While Skyquake still has his sword out here, Jazz simply is outmaneuvering him, boxing him up, beating him over and over again here. And he doesn't let up, telling him, you were a far more dangerous opponent when you kept your cool here. But now, since you're just a raging, I guess you could say just like a raging teenager or a raging child, or sparkling as Cybertrons will call it. And this is where Jazz actually delivers one of the meanest flip kicks to Skyquake, pretty much sending him crashing right through a couple of destroyed military vehicles here, and just laying him out unconscious here. And he simply tells him that you were far more of a warrior when you kept your head cool, or kept your head in the game. Next time, I won't be so merciful. And so, what about the other fights? Well, RC and Arachnid actually plays out just like they normally do. However, with RC being more skilled, she's actually able to disable Arachnid a lot quicker here, and almost kills her if it weren't for Breakdown smacking her with the hammer at a surprise moment here, and being able to help Arachnid up here. And so the rest of the Shadow Syndicate actually is able to get away here. And so they pick up Skyquake and are able to get the heck out of there. However, what about Starscream? Well, I don't think it took him too long to get caught by Jetfire here. See, what happened here is that Jetfire not only played with Starscream, just leading him on here, But then at the last moment, he flips or pretty much flies up over Starscream, allowing Cliffjumper to pretty much just jump up and grab him thanks to a well-timed special, or fastball special, excuse me, from Wheeljack here. Now you might say, would Wheeljack be able to throw Cliffjumper? And in all honesty, I think they're around the same strength level here, albeit I definitely could see the argument for Cliffjumper being stronger here. So we could definitely switch the two here. But again, I think it would be some sweet irony for Cliffjumper to be the one to bring down Starscream instead. So just roll with it for right now, right? So with that being said here, Starscream is pretty much caught and then pinned under Wheeljack's boot with a blade to his face. And this is where Jetfire actually takes out his signature weapon, a flamethrower. Yeah, I know, kind of reminiscent towards Transformers Animated, but I think it would be so cool if Jetfire had his own signature weapon. I mean, all the Autobots have their own blasters, right? Cliffjumper has his three-piece shooter, Wheeljack has his extended cannon, Bulkhead has his more, I guess you say, pulled in or heavier cannon, Bumblebee has his wrist blasters, RC has her, well, her hand blasters as well here. So, and Jazz has the Crescent Cannon, while Ratchet actually has his torches. Actually pretty interesting here. And then Optimus Prime has his Path Blaster. So, come on now. Wheeljack with a flamethrower would be so cool, okay? So, with that being said here, Starscream spills the beans about a space bridge here. And so, he gets all of the information that they need here. And, yeah, this is where Starscream is actually bailed out by Team Char's Cyclonus here. And so, with that being said, they all have to get back to base. And so, Starscream, while he does need medical attention, is going to need a lot more. Megatron promptly beats him, or simply scolds him with a slap to the face here, telling him he shouldn't have explained that information here. Luckily, Orion isn't around, and is actually decrypting the Iacon database here. And so, with that being said here, what happens next? With that information at hand here, Jetfire is able to find it actually far faster than the likes of Starscream, because in the sheer fact that Jetfire was notably and noticeably, better than Starscream when it came to aerial bot stuff, or pretty much flying in general. Pretty much with that being said here, he finds it faster, and so this is where Jack is pretty much made a suit and given a kiss on the cheek by Sierra, and well, this is where things change here. You see, the Autobots are already in place here. Jazz, with Bulkhead and Wheeljack, pretty much cleared the space bridge way earlier before Jack even got his suit on here, with Jetfire pretty much looming overhead, making sure no Decepticons pretty much come by. And so, this is where we also have the sheer fact that RC goes along with Cliffjumper and Bumblebee, okay? Going along with them through the, through the space bridge towards Cybertron. And so, with that being said here, who goes to fight the Autobots? And well, I'm going to have it be Megatron by himself here. He's fed up. He's fed up with their nonsense here. The sheer fact that 5 of some of his best soldiers just got beat like they were nothing more than sparklings. How pathetic. And so Megatron goes by himself here. Even so, this is where we actually see a moment between Team Char and the Shadow Syndicate here, with both of them kind of realizing that they both messed up pretty bad here. Stryker should have been, well, more calculating and should have been more aware of Skyquake's turmoil here. However, Skyquake vows to get his vengeance upon Jazz and the Autobots for his brother, and Stryker is willing to back him up here. So, not only as, he's being repaired here, do they make a deal? They start to show unity between their teams, interacting together for the first time. So basically, the teams here are more united because of how they, I guess you could say, one team failure can reflect the others. So, with that being said here, Megatron arrives just like in the original, with Wheeljack and Bulkhead ready, along with Jazz here. To which Jazz simply smiles and says, normally, he could likely take you on by himself. But considering the last time you did give me a good beating, I think it is fair that we do jump you. Now, how would Wheeljack do in a situation like this here? Considering he is definitely a better combat member than the likes of Bumblebee, yeah, I could actually see him doing pretty well in this situation, in this fight with Megatron. So, the battle between the Autobots and Megatron is pretty much dragged out here. Megatron is hit from all angles here. Jazz hits him one way, Bulkhead smacks him in another, showing that, again, Bulkhead is kind of the key player here because he is, I guess you could say, the strongest one to deal the most damage to Megatron here. And so, adding Wheeljack, who is actually using hit or run tactics, Jazz, who's actually getting close and actually is able to box with Megatron somewhat relatively here, yeah, it actually gets a little, and if not far more difficult for Megatron than the original here. Keep in mind, still some of the same things do happen, unlike before here. However, instead of one of Starscream, being the one to call Optimus or call Orion Optimus, a Viacon does it by slipping up here. So, or basically, I would actually have Spitter be the one to call him that there, and he does it by accident, simply monologuing about how he can't wait to kill and munch on the Autobots here. And so, that got Orion thinking, got him curious here. And so, Megatron caught him, again, just before the fight happens. And so, he does threaten Orion, just like he does in the original here. And so, with that being said here, Orion is able to, I guess you could say, outplay Megatron in this way here. He not only waits for his right opportunity, but he does, kill the two Viacons and actually finds his own way through the ground bridge here. And so when he sees this here, he sees the Autobots still fighting against Megatron. Now, what about RC, Cliffjumper, and Bumblebee? Believe it or not, this is way easier. I mean, the sheer fact that Bumblebee and, Cliffjumper are stronger than RC, they do have chemistry of working together, so this means that the three of them dealing with the Insecticon is a lot easier. However, we do get a moment where Cliffjumper does freak out about the scraplets, and RC tells him to quit being a baby. To which everything kind of just goes pretty much far smoother and far better than in the original timeline here. They're able to get the key to Vector Sigma and get Optimus's memories back here. And so they're able to transform and get the heck out of there. And so with that being said here, they pretty much arrive to see the Autobots still jumping Megatron and actually getting the upper hand on him to the point where Megatron has no choice but to retreat. However, before he retreats here, he forgot about one thing: Jetfire. Considering he arrived on foot, just like he did in the original here, Jetfire was simply looming around, waiting for his opportunity here. To which, as Megatron flies away, Jazz tells Jetfire, now. To which Jetfire, using his superior speed or superior aerial, mobility here, shoots Megatron right in his thrusters, causing huge amounts of damage here. Optimus's memory is restored, and the Autobots go home victorious here. To which Optimus actually wants to know who he has to thank for keeping the Autobots together. To which this is where RC pretty much pushes Jazz forward, and he pretty much, nervously exclaims that he didn't mean to take command here. However, Optimus actually does something very rare for a lot of Autobots here. And he says that, considering the sheer fact that you were a lieutenant in your world, he would be honored if you would be his as well, along with Jetfire here. To which this would actually be kind of a huge, well, not a huge promotion for him here, but it's the sheer fact that another Optimus Prime trusts him just like his own. And so, with that being said here, the Autobots pretty much are back together and united, far stronger than what they were before. However, not everything is as it seems here. You see, one thing was left unchecked. The space bridge here. And so someone walks through it, cold, calculating, and menacing. And that would be Shockwave. And so that is where we're going to leave it all from here, you guys. Please comment down below, like and subscribe and share with your friends. This is Legendary Grimlock, and I hope you guys have a blessed day. And I hope you guys are ready for the next chapter, where I will be bringing in Predaking earlier in the timeline. So, with that being said here, please comment down below, like and subscribe and share with your friends. This is Legendary Grimlock, and I hope you guys have a blessed day. Peace.